When the winds of magic first came into the old world, they were refracted into 8 distinct colors. Today, we will look at Azyr, the Blue Wind. Azyr is the blue wind of magic. It is the Azyr's reflection and metaphysical drive of and for inspiration and all that which is out of reach. Azyr is imagination and the desire to emote. Azyr builds upon abstracts and seeks to find or even create certainty within the unknowable. It finds and creates meaning and narrative for and within things that are without meaning or narrative. Azyr is the drive and need to explore the unexplored and express the inexpressible. Azyr has few temporal boundaries and reaches into all the possible futures. Azyr is light and insubstantial, and after passing into the mortal realm, it quickly dissipates into the upper portions of the heaven, becoming a haze of eerie cloud, visible only to those who have witch sight. The Magisters of the Celestial Order study the lore of heavens, which in its widest sense is known as astro-meteorological thaumaturgy, the magic of the stars, the upper atmosphere, and the weather. The Magisters of the Celestial Order are most commonly referred to as astromancers, and they are prognosticators, astrologers, and seers without human peer. These potent wizards also have power over the weather and other various meteorological phenomena. It is certainly for these reasons that Azyr's Magisters are known for their greatest preference for sky and stargazing. And it is for this reason that the Magisters of the Celestial College are sometimes called Celestial Wizards by some of the less educated folk of the Empire. The magic of the Celestial College can be roughly divided into 3 areas: prognostication, or fortune-telling, control over meteorological phenomena, weather control, and the most dangerous, manipulating the future through curses. Astrological prognostication is the arcane art that tries to decipher the most likely future of mortals by examining the interaction of the blue wind of magic, Azyr, and the light of various celestial bodies, including moons, stars, comets, and meteorites. It is frequently termed astromancy, divination by the stars. As Azyr blows from the timeless realms of the Aether across the distant sky, it supposedly appears as a clouded window through which Azyr's Magisters can predict certain events. Apparently, by the manner in which the permanent celestial bodies are distorted by the drifting cloud of Azyr's impermanent and temporally distorting blue light. Yet, even though this is a mystical art, it apparently requires many mathematical processes like geometry and statistical analysis to read the messages hidden in the heavens. It is for this reason that the Magisters of the Celestial Colleges are exceptionally skilled mathematicians, and in this they share commonalities with the Magisters of Hamon. Astromancers create instruments of exacting calculation and measurements, such as astrolabes. Yet, it is not just the upper heavens that can be utilized to foresee the future. The astromancers of the Celestial College are also exceedingly adept meteorologists, and through the application of their science they can forecast weather conditions. And so, they manufacture barometers, heliograph, hygrometers, anemometers, and so on. And they create these machines of such incredible accuracy and exquisite artisanship that they have no peer across the entire empire. Astromancers gaze at heavenly bodies through the shimmering haze of Azyr's blue light, documenting various images and movements that can be seen where astrological conjunctions and constellations meet with the Azyr's atemporal wind. They must study long and hard to be able to learn how to interpret the formulae and the hazy images that offer glimmers of the future. And they must also master the principles of time and the almost infinitely complex nature of cause and effect. In time, they will become adept at seeing parts played by the hands of destiny and chance on the mortal world. Magisters attuned to Azyr are also attuned in some way to the future, and are fascinated with divination and all affairs of those things that have not yet come to pass. Azyr is the epitome for the pursuit of omens and knowledge of the future, and its magisters are experts at interpreting the dreams, the casting of runes, and indeed all manner of prognostication. They are oracles and seers, fortune tellers and diviners. There are few equals within or without the Empire. Yet also, Azyr's Magisters are also great theoreticians, dealing more with profound leaps of logic rather than the steady analyses of arduous trial and error that so fascinates the Magisters of Hamon. Such is their understanding of the processes of the atmosphere. Astromancers also have many spells to control the weather, or at least air pressures, movement of air, and even lightning itself, calling it down upon the heads of their enemies. Perhaps the most alarming of the Astromancer's arcane skills lies in their reputed ability to change the future, in the sense that they can actually change someone's fate for the worse, if they are skilled enough and if they so choose. How they do this is a secret known only to them and perhaps the high mages of distant Sapphire. As it is, their power to curse and bring misfortune on their enemies is a cause of great alarm among certain elements of Imperial Society. The very wealthiest and most important people seek the astromancers of the Celestial College in the Empire, in a kind of love-hate relationship. Few nobles would not wish to know how the future turns out for them, neither in the short or long term, but there is nothing in the articles of Imperial magic or in the Celestial College's own rules that forbid telling the people their fortunes, if that is what they wish. However, astromancers are required to tell all of which they see with absolute honesty. Now, this is a double-edged sword, as the astromancers cannot always direct which areas of the future they will see. So they may indeed be able to see the future in such a way as to win a noble some political influence. But they are just as likely to foresee the day, hour, and style of that noble's death, and they would be obligated to tell all they had seen in person. As a result, though many noble houses seek to contract an astromancer, for the sake of appearances if nothing else, few pressure him or her to too closely reveal future events. Resultantly, astromancers tend to be quite wealthy and quite alive. Like all magisters, astromancers can be seconded to serve in the military throughout their life and as need dictates. As one might expect from an order of prognosticators, few experienced magisters are ever surprised or unprepared when the call of duty comes. In terms of fashion, the Magisters of the Celestial College use midnight blue as their prime color of decoration, and they will normally wear pendants, rings, earrings, and brooches in the shapes of stars, moons, etc. Due to their unusual wealth, astromancers can be afforded to have the very best robes, and everything they wear is of the richest materials and best tailoring. It is said that an astromancer advances in his field, and as they come closer to Azyr, their eyes turn wholly blue and glow with a soft light. While the Magisters may give the impression of knowing everything before people say anything, this is not the case. In fact, though they may know when people are about to speak, they know not what they are about to say. It is therefore possible to surprise them. Astromancers tend to be dreamers and are very scholarly. The shifting possibilities of the future have more relevance and are more real to them than is the present. They tend to look up to the heavens with a contemplative look upon their faces. Now, there is a rigorous program of examinations and advancement within the Celestial Colleges, beginning with an entrance examination to establish the new apprentices' academic capabilities. Very few applicants with any etheric talent are turned away no matter how they do on the exam. It really is just for the Magisters of the college to ascertain which level to start the new apprentices at. Those few that are turned away might be sent on to the Order of Light with a letter of introduction. The Hierophants are always looking for more apprentice chanters to fill their choirs. Apprentices will be assigned to a master, whom they are expected to obey absolutely. Those based in Altdorf are then assigned quarters within the college building and are expected to live there at all times. They cannot leave the college without permission. As well as their studies, apprentices are expected to help the masters in their observations, which will give them plenty of chances in learning how to adjust the great telescopes in the domes. All apprentices are expected to be neat, hardworking, and punctual. The tower domes are cleaned of bird droppings and other debris every evening by the college's apprentices. This unpleasant duty is handed out as punishment to the apprentices who are disrespectful, perform poorly, or dress inappropriately, etc., etc. The need for regular cleaning ensures that someone is always nominated for this task. The college's masters maintain that these duties instill an appropriate sense of humility in the apprentices, and humility is important for all those who wish to study the winds of magic and not fall prey to the whispered promises of chaos. Once apprentices have advanced to become full magisters, they may take on apprentices of their own and pursue independent researches. They are presented with a congratulatory small telescope, which they will carry on themselves at most times. Many astromancers choose to live in their college for their entire life, leaving the building only when called to the battlefield. The main exceptions to this involve individuals who travel to observe unusual astronomical events. As for the public, most people do not really know how to react to astromancers. On one hand, the natural fear and distrust of anything that has to do with magic makes people generally quite nervous around the Magisters of the Celestial College. However, the curiosity that almost everyone has with regards to what the future might hold tends to draw some braver folk to astromancers. Some even ask for their fortunes to be told, but rarely are the astromancers ever so cruel to actually look, or even worse, tell them their futures. The Celestial College lies close to the center of Altdorf, not that far from both the Imperial Palace and the Great Temple of Sigmar. However, despite the bustle around the college, almost no one ever notices it. The Celestial College is not invisible, nor is it disguised by any illusions. Instead, the spells that protect the college subtly prevent people from looking in the college's direction, or from paying attention to whatever they do see. Clouds and mist intervene at crucial moments, and the wind blows flags, awnings, and light pieces of rubble across the line of sight to the college's spires. People who live and walk in the area know that there is something in that spot, but they have no clear memories of it, or any interest in finding out. Most assume it must be a residential building, or a private warehouse, or some other structure that they have no interest in. However, someone who knows roughly where the Celestial College is and is deliberately looking for it can find the entrance. Yet even such a determined person as this will rarely think to look up or around, or do not even pay attention to the details of the door. Thus, even if the most determined non-wizards approach the college, it is rare that they will notice anything other than the door itself. Of course, people attuned to the vagaries of magic are often immune to this effect, and can see the college in its full glory. When such people point the college out to bystanders, the effect is partially overcome for a while. People with only the mundane senses will quickly lose interest and revert back to not bothering to look in that direction at all, and thinking that there is nothing important there. Indeed, for brief moments they were well aware of the college, but they do not take in any of the details of it. For those who can see it, the college is one of the most spectacular sights in all of Altdorf. 16 slender towers, each built from blue and white stone, reach high into the heavens, far taller than the spires of the great temple of Sigmar, or the towers of the palace. They thrust out the huge main body of the blue-stoned college. Each is daubed with a glass dome which glitters in the sunlight and shines faintly from within at night. About 160 years ago, the Patriarch of the time built the first domed tower on the western corner of the building. This sparked off the time of the towers, in which the masters of the college built greater and higher towers, leading to the profusion of towers and observatories that can be seen today. However, once the numbers of tower reached 16, it was deemed by the Lord Magisters of the college that there were towers enough, and no more were to be built. The towers were linked by numerous walkways and gantries, also built in blue and white stone. The windows of the towers and the main buildings are all wide, and every study and living quarter in the college has skylights, windows, and balconies from which the magisters and apprentices may observe the heavens. The college's main door is 4 yards square, divided into 4 sections and finished in black metal. Dots of silver are spread across it, forming a map of the night sky, albeit not the sky visible above the old world. No one is kept waiting at the door. The doorkeepers always seem to know when someone arrives and open the door a moment before they knock. In most cases, the general purpose of any visit is known, but rarely the specifics. Thus, if the visitors want to speak to a magister, the doorkeeper will know it, though not necessarily which magister. This prescience is partly a result of careful observation, but also partly magical. The doorkeepers would only make a mistake if a powerful spell is concealing the visitor's purpose. Hostile visitors are either ignored or threatened with the barrel of a blunderbuss thrust through the port and the door, depending on their persistence and severity of their hostility. Within the college is a cobbled courtyard that gives access to the many towers whose myriad windows overlook the interior of the college. There are no signs to show which door leads where, so novices are prone to getting lost. Inside the building are libraries, living quarters, and observatories. The air has no scent inside the college, like the clear air at the top of a mountain. Although they are a little confusing, the corridors and courtyards of the college come to have a calming effect on most visitors. Small libraries and observatories can be found all over the place. Visitors are allowed to go to a magister's room unescorted, and servants appear to repeat directions just at the moment visitors might realize that they do not know which way to turn at a junction. Magisters who want to receive guests invite them in the moment they arrive outside the door, without waiting for something resembling a knock. It is worth noting that many of the magisters at the college tend to spend their days sleeping, and their nights at the top of the crystal towers, studying the stars. The college is somewhat unsurprisingly an excellent place to meet celestial magisters. All senior magisters have their own private rooms which are furnished in their own style. Mostly, this tends towards a celestial theme, and most rooms contain at least one large telescope and an astrolabe. Although the visitors may assume that they are constantly watched within the college, they are not. Instead, the apprentice staff and magisters know when the visitors need assistance and turn up at that moment. The Celestial College would make most ordinary people very nervous, particularly if they have something to hide. Sneaking into the college would require more attention to one's surroundings than anyone without magical senses could manage. Even those with such senses fall foul of the magical warning that inhabitants get. Guards rarely appear to apprehend interlopers. Instead, servants happen to go to work exactly where such interlopers wanted to hide, or they appear round a corner at inopportune moments. Often, the servants do not know why they are there at that time. The enchantments of the senior magisters and the effects of Azyr simply arrange things so that they are. Someone with extremely strong concealment magic of some sort, like a shadowmancer perhaps, might be able to overcome some of these obstacles, though the lack of cover and general stillness of the college makes it difficult to move around without attracting some attention. Visitors without any magical assistance cannot sneak around the college at all, as there is always a servant standing right in front of them, looking straight at them. That's fucking creepy. Hold up. That's creepy. Now we will look at Rafael Julevno, the Master Patriarch of the Celestial College. Magister Julevno was born in Nuln, the son of an actress, or so his mother thinks, and a mercenary from somewhere in Ostland. Julevno Julevno never once saw his father as he was growing up, nor, for that matter, did his mother. Julevno was 12 years old when he started to have visions, flashes of things that would then happen hours, days, or even weeks later. By his 15th year, these visions came to him constantly in such a blur that his mother thought him mad. It was a testament to the boy's strength of mind that he was not. As far as his mother was concerned, Julevno had become more trouble for her for the last 15 years, and she believed her acting career had taken its toll because of him. Seeing her chance for a start without her nuisance son, she contacted the local workhouse and asked them to pick up the lunatic boy. But through his visions, Julevno saw what was to happen, and he fled his mother and Nuln altogether, living as a beggar in the small towns and villages beyond the city. Around that time, Julevno began to have a new vision. Only this one repeated itself time and again. In his dreams, both waking and asleep, Julevno kept seeing a massive blue building with 16 glorious spires. At that point, he didn't understand its relevance, but it was calling to him. And the city of Altdorf was where it was calling from. It was a rainy autumn day when Julevno finally stumbled through the streets of Altdorf towards its great center. Though none around him could seem to pay them one glance, Julevno could not take his eyes from the glistening blue towers that reached so high above the city. The same towers he had seen in his dreams. By the time he reached the college's great door, Julevno could barely walk. He was so tired and malnourished from walking nearly non-stop all the way from Nuln. As he reached the first step leading to the door, his legs finally buckled and he collapsed. At that exact moment, the door ahead of him opened, and a tall man with a plaited white beard and brilliant blue eyes stepped out. "Ah," he said, "we've been expecting you." Suffice to say, Julevno was accepted in the Celestial Order. His natural affinity for Azir, the Blue Wind, was truly exceptional. He saw visions of the future in his head without even needing to gaze into the heavens or use any equipment at all. The Magisters could not turn him away. He was a fast study, and he rose to the position of Magister in just 13 short years, a very short time for the Celestial Order. And at 29, he was the youngest fully accepted astromancer in living memory. He was 50 when he first caught his first glimpse of Arcane and the invasion he would lead against the Empire. And just a year later he saw the vision of the death of then Patriarch of his order, Stern Glanzend. When he took his worry to the Patriarch, he found that the ancient astromancer already knew. He had seen his own death many times beforehand. He was ready to face it. Before he left for Middenheim, Glanzend told Julevno that he was to be the new Patriarch. All the Lord Magisters of the Order had foreseen it, though he had never spoken of it, though. Julevno had seen this as well and could not refuse. Since that day, he has wondered many times about how the Patriarchs of his order were chosen. The Lord Magisters foresee who amongst their number it will be, and then simply formalize things by electing that person. But if they had not seen him, Julevno sometimes muses, would they have elected him? Or, conversely, perhaps they only elected him because they had seen him. And was this not a paradox? A self-fulfilling prophecy? Which came first, the vision that decides the Patriarch, or the would-be Patriarch's own destiny that informs the vision? Was it fate, or some other agency who decided who would become the Patriarch of the astromancers? These troubling thoughts caused Magister Patriarch Julevno many sleepless nights. And there you have it. We have now learned of the lore of heavens. Thanks for joining me once again, all of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day, take care, and don't kill yourself. Bye!
de-goofing welcomes you, my sweet assistant friend, to this later destinies. Want you come unprepared. Never a bar, friend, or traitor, come and look upon the heart. I wait for you up the stages on your next incarnation. What a grand innocence. You get the pulse under, so naive. Shame on you, moon and song. I'm a big author, and I'm a dog. There's no escape.